do if you lost your virginity to a stranger in a club bathroom and woke up to find out he's a billionaire who won't let you go? She was a virgin. He was a billionaire. One night at an Abuja nightclub changed both their lives forever. But what started as passion became obsession. What began as love turned into a deadly game. 3 threatening text messages. 1 kidnapping. A best friend's betrayal. And before this story ends, someone will be in handcuffs, someone will be in the hospital, and the person pulling the strings? You'll never see it coming. This is Chioma's story, and I promise you, this ending will shock you. Watch till the very end. The night that changed everything. The music was so loud that Chioma could feel it in her chest. Bass drums shook the walls of Eclipse Lounge, one of Abuja's most expensive nightclubs in the heart of Maitama. Colored lights flashed across the faces of Nigeria's elite. Politicians, oil men, Instagram celebrities, all dancing and drinking like tomorrow didn't exist. Chioma sat in a corner booth, her champagne glass untouched, staring at her phone. No new messages. David hadn't even bothered to call. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Abuja? Lagos? Maybe you're abroad? Missing Nigeria? Drop your location in the comments because this story could happen to anyone, anywhere. One night, one choice. Everything changed forever. Girl, stop checking your phone, her best friend Ada said, snatching it from her hands. David is not worth your tears. Not tonight. Chioma looked up, her eyes wet. He promised he would come. He promised this night would be special. Ada rolled her eyes. Special? The man missed your university graduation ceremony. He missed the biggest day of your life because he had to work. And you still think he deserves you? Chioma had graduated that morning from the University of Abuja with first-class honors in law. Her parents had been so proud. Her professors had praised her. She had worked so hard for 4 years, reading late into the night, sacrificing parties and fun, all to achieve her dream. And David, her boyfriend of 3 years, hadn't shown up. He sent a text. Sorry, babe. Boss needs me at the site. I'll make it up to you. Promise. That was 6 hours ago. No follow-up. No call. Nothing. Forget him, Ada said, pushing a fresh glass of champagne across the table. Tonight, we celebrate you. You graduated top of your class. You're going to be the best lawyer in Nigeria. David who? Chioma looked at the drink. She rarely drank alcohol, maybe once or twice a year at family events. But tonight felt different. Tonight, the pain in her chest was so heavy she wanted to drown it. To new beginnings. Ada raised her glass. To new beginnings. Chioma echoed and drank. The alcohol burned her throat, but she didn't care. She drank again and again. The music got louder. The lights got brighter. And slowly the pain started to fade. 3 floors above the main club, in the VIP section that cost more per night than most people's monthly salary, Tobias Okafor stood by the glass railing, looking down at the crowd below. He was bored. At 38 years old, Tobias had everything a man could want. Oil wells in the Niger Delta, real estate across Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Accra, a tech company that was making waves across West Africa. His net worth was estimated at over $2 billion. But tonight, surrounded by people who only saw his money, he felt empty. Another drink, sir? His bodyguard, Colonel, asked. Tobias shook his head. No. I think I'm going home. Already? The night is still young. The night is always young, Colonel. But I'm tired of the same faces, the same conversations, the same fake smiles. Just as he turned to leave, he saw her. A young woman stumbling toward the VIP bathroom, her green dress flowing behind her, her natural hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked lost, confused, clearly not used to drinking. Something about her made him stop. Maybe it was the innocence in her face. Maybe it was the way she moved, not like the other women in the club who walked with calculated seduction. She moved like someone who didn't belong here, like she had wandered into the wrong world by mistake. Tobias watched as she pushed open a door, the wrong door. She had walked into the men's bathroom. Without thinking, he followed. Chioma realized her mistake the moment she saw urinals on the wall. "Oh God!" she muttered, turning to leave, but the room was spinning. The alcohol had hit her harder than she expected. She grabbed the sink to steady herself and looked up at the mirror. That's when she saw him. A man stood behind her, tall and well-dressed in a black suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe. His face was handsome, sharp jaw, intense eyes, the kind of face you see in magazines. "Wrong bathroom," he said softly. His voice was deep but gentle.
I'm sorry," Chioma whispered.
But she couldn't move. Something about this man made her forget everything else. David, the graduation, the pain, everything. "Are you okay?" he asked, stepping closer. She should have said yes. She should have left. But instead, she heard herself say, "No, I'm not okay." Tobias looked at this beautiful stranger, and his chest tightened. Her eyes were the most expressive he'd ever seen. Sad, but with a fire underneath. Intelligence mixed with heartbreak. "What happened?" he asked. "Today was supposed to be the best day of my life," Chioma said, tears forming in her eyes. "I graduated. First class. My parents were so proud. But the one person I wanted there, he didn't show up. Then he's a fool." The words were so simple, but they made her heart skip. When was the last time someone had defended her like that? "What's your name?" Tobias asked. "Chioma. And yours?" "Tobias." They stood there, looking at each other in the mirror, both feeling something they couldn't explain. The music from the club felt far away. The world outside this bathroom didn't exist. "I've never done anything like this before," Chioma whispered, turning to face him. "Like what?" "Talked to a stranger. Been in a men's bathroom. Felt like..." She couldn't finish the sentence. Tobias stepped closer. "Felt like what?" "Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." The air between them changed. Charged. Electric. "Chioma," Tobias said, his voice rough. "If you want to leave, leave now. Because if you stay, I don't want to leave." What happened next was like a dream. In that bathroom, with the bass from the music vibrating through the walls, they found each other. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional, spiritual. Chioma felt like she was giving him more than her body. She was giving him parts of herself she didn't even know existed. For Tobias, it was the first time in years he felt truly seen. Not as a billionaire. Not as a business deal. Just as a man. When it was over, they held each other in the quiet aftermath, both knowing that everything had changed. "I have to go," Chioma whispered, reality crashing back in. The alcohol was wearing off and panic was setting in. "Wait," Tobias said. But she was already pulling away, fixing her dress. "I can't. This was a mistake. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I have to go." Before he could stop her, she was gone. Tobias stood there alone, his heart breaking. He didn't even know her last name. Chioma burst out of the club into the cool Abuja night, gasping for air. What had she done? She had just given her virginity to a complete stranger in a bathroom. Her, Chioma Nwachukwu, who had been saving herself, who had turned down David 100 times because she wanted it to be special. And she had given it away to a man whose last name she didn't even know. She called an Uber with shaking hands and cried the entire ride home to her small apartment in Kubwa. Back in the club, Tobias stood on the VIP balcony, staring at the crowd below, searching for a green dress and natural hair. But she was gone. Like smoke. Like a dream. "Sir, are you ready to leave?" Kunal asked. Tobias looked at his bodyguard. "Find her. Sir." The woman who just left. Young, early 20s, green dress, natural hair. "I need you to find her. Sir, there are thousands of women in Abuja. How am I supposed to?" "I don't care how. Just find her." Because Tobias knew, deep in his soul, that he had just met the woman who would change his life forever. And he wasn't going to let her disappear. End of chapter 1. What happens next? Will Tobias find Chioma? And what will she do when the billionaire she gave everything to comes looking for her? Drop, find her. In the comments if you think Tobias should search for Chioma. And subscribe because Chapter 2 is going to show you just how far a billionaire will go when he falls in love. This story is just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.